time.
Uh, so there are like similarities still with the campaigning that we're doing now.
There are similarities, like we would put posters and
Uh-huh.
flyers, that you still do that now.
Mhm.
Uh, there were still people waiting for, you know, monies,
So,
or you can take them out to eat, or
mhm.
even
So this kind of
yes.
a vote buying.
Vote buying is still, rampant,
Uh-huh.
even before. But even I saw the difference that as an idealistic young woman at that time, our program was for change.
Mhm.
Even in
So you have a
1966,
very good platform of government
we
then.
wanted change.
Mhm.
And the young people, mostly the ones who went for Senator Manglapos, were more, I think, more idealistic and intellectual,
Mhm.
knowing that our country needs major changes.
Mhm.
So to this date, I see that still, I see from watching PFC that young people now, especially young people from Diliman,
Mhm.
are rallying for change.
Change.
Hopefully that might happen.
Mhm.
Perhaps not in my generation, but I would like to see it happen.
Mhm. But in terms of peace and order, are there election-related crimes or
The
violence?
same. I
Okay,
would
so
say,
there were.
maybe not in the same numbers, but there were.
Mhm.
There were threats. There were threats to the candidates. There were threats to the campaigns coordinators like me. I almost got shot myself.
So
I
still
was
very
threatened,
risky.
very risky. I was threatened with a gun. And of course, at 21, you think you are invincible, and I was not even afraid. But
Mhm.
thinking back now, how I look back, I said, why was I not afraid? Because you were young,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah,
think you can do it.
very adventurous.
Adventurous, yes.
Mhm.
It was a great experience for me, a great exposure to the Philippine politics.
Mhm.
And because we didn't have any paid ballots at that time, I saw the rampant cheating.
So even then, there were.
Even then,
Mhm.
the different ways on how they could find ways to cheat
Cheat.
during election time.
Mhm.
So that was a big disappointment for me.
Mhm.
So at 21, I swore, and I told the Senator Manglapos that I cannot work for you in Congress because I'm so disappointed with the turnout of the events. My political career ended right there.
Mhm.
I said, this is not for me.
Mhm.
Although I'm a people person, perhaps there are other ways I could serve my country. And so
Would you regret now that you have not pursued the political direction supposedly in your life?
yes and no. I would say yes because if I stayed in the Philippines, I would not brag, but probably I would have become a senator or
Yes, I
something.
would think so.
But I chose to, because in my disappointment as an idealistic voter at 21, I chose to work in the bank instead. I was offered to work in Congress in the office of Senator Manglapos, but I turned it down. Graciously, I said thank you for the offer because he said he saw the potential in me. He became a very good friend through the years, even as after I came to America. We were in contact whenever he came to America. We would host reception for him.
Well, how could you regret when you ended up having a very happy married life?
Yes, no, that I don't regret that part of it. That I married this young man, this boy next door, and who joined the Navy. And I left the Philippines in 1968.
Wow.
A short career as a secretary of the manager.
Just few months after your
A few
marriage?
months, 6 months after, because I became very lonely. And
So in other words, you have stayed in out of the country for almost 42 years.
yes, I
Mm-hmm.
left in uh, February, end of February. En route to America, I stopped by Japan for 10 days.
Uh-huh.
So I arrived uh, in the US in March of 1968.
Uh-huh. So yeah, almost 42 years. Short.
I have nothing but my luggage with me and a new life, looking forward to a new life,
Uh-huh.
which perhaps I could say now I even have cultural shock because even if I was raised in Olongapo where there's a lot of Americans,
Still, it's
yeah,
different.
I think anybody who would come to America, those people who perceive that it's a life of
Milk and honey.
milk and honey and opportunity,
Yeah.
you have to prepare yourself for
There's
some
a
kind of
there's a period of adjustment, I'm sure.
cultural shock. So
Mhm.
that's what I called it. I didn't know what it was, but all I wanted to do was go back home.
Mhm.
I was so miserable.
Mhm. Oh, did you arrive? How many years you got pregnant first?
I got pregnant.
Right away.
Yes.
Wow. Oh.
Because I didn't know anything about
So
birth
you were a
control.
mother at
So I was a
20.
mother at 24, 20,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
25. Yes, 25.
Mhm. And had some more children
I
after
had
that
children
first.
every 3 years, I would say.
Okay. You planned it that way?
My children would be so embarrassed, and every time I joke about it, they said, "Oh, Mama, you really planned us to be 3 years apart from each other."
Were you using kind of a contraception?
No, I never.
So it's purely natural.
All natural, and I joke with my own children. I say, "Oh, I just make a mistake every 3 years."
Okay.
And they say, "Mama," it was nice.
So you have how many
I have
children?
3 children. John
Okay.
was born on December 8, 1968.
Uh-huh.
The very same year that I arrived, I guess I was 25 at the time. My boy was named. He's actually from the Arce clan, whose firstborn is a male.
Uh-huh.
So I guess I followed the tradition of
Tradition.
my husband's having a firstborn male. John is now a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy. He's a nurse, and he is now stationed in Djibouti, Africa.
How many grandchildren?
I have 10 grandchildren.
Wow.
My 2 daughters, Florian. I have 3 from Florian. I have 3 from Janine, and
Wow.
4 from John. So I became a grandmother, I think, at the age of 49 or 50. And I wasn't ready at that time. I said, and I acted like Shirley MacLaine. I said, "What makes you think I want to be a grandmother?" But it's such a joy.
Were you a plain housewife when you had all these children, or you were partly working?
I chose to, while having children, I chose not to work. My career was set aside. My husband is in the military. I was left alone.
Was it hard then to give up your career?
No, I didn't find it hard. I was looking for an outside activity, but having a baby at 25, I was the happiest person, I think, when I had my firstborn. My feeling was, in fact, my song for John was, "I'll never be alone again."
Wow.
And this was the greatest moment of realization, what it's like to be a parent. And I
Must
think,
be the best years of your life.
I think being a mother, as most women, makes their life complete.
I would think so.
And
But being a wife, a mother, and of course the start of your community involvement, When was that?
It was after my youngest daughter was about 3 years old, and she was going on 4. She was ready for preschool, and at that time, I was antsy to have some kind of a career. Uh, and buying a house in America, you need 2 incomes to be able to
Qualify.
qualify. So I was not forced, but by choice, I worked part-time. So I started working with Bank of America.
So